Hello, in this tutorial we're going to be covering some basic lighting techniques inside Cinema 4D and Redshift. Stay tuned and I'll explain it all. So we're going to start off. I've prepared this wine bottle I just found in the asset browser. And as you can see, it's looking a bit rough there in the old render preview. So we're going to do something about that. First thing we want is to set ourselves up some lights, okay? So normally with a typical photographic setout, you'd have a key light, a fill light, and a rim light. Not as rude as it sounds. And I'm going to show you how to set those up now. So we're within Redshift here, and we're just going to go into Redshift, Lights, and Redshift Area Light is my weapon of choice for this particular project. There are obviously other lights you can choose from, such as spotlights, but I find the area lights tend to give a... I mean, you can already see it in the preview there. It's really kind of brought that thing to life, but we're going to just... kind of zoom out a little bit, and now we're going to set these up. So we're going to name this one key light. Your key light tends to be your brightest light, and what I find the easier way of doing this, rather than kind of like, you know, putting it into orthographic view, and orthographic view is brilliant anyway, but rather than kind of rotating it and doing all this, the best thing I personally find is you go to animation tags. You can get your target tag, and then when you click on your target tag, you drag your object that you want to illuminate into it, and that will become the target object, which will then automatically align your light to whatever object you want it to illuminate. Now, the thing to bear in mind, it's technically not pointing at the object, it's pointing at the grab handle of the object, which happens to be on the bottom of the object here. Now, that's a good thing if I want to scale it up and down. But I tend to have my light pointing at the bottom of the object by default. So if I just hit L on the keyboard and I hit E to go back into drag mode, I can move this without actually moving the bottle. So if I hit L, that'll move everything because that's the grab handle. If I hit L again, and you can do it by clicking here as well, then you can move this about freely and change the object center. And I kind of do this because I know the light as a target now will be pointing at the wine bottle. I didn't want it just pointing at the bottom, so you can always move it back. It's fine. So now we have our key light. I'll just give you an example. If I move this, you can see the light's falling around even though the wine bottle's not moving. That's what I mean. Anyway, here we go. So I need to move my key light up a bit. Now I'm gonna have my main light coming, I think, from the left, but the key light's still a little bit aggressive and it's blowing out, so we're going to just reduce the intensity of that. Now Redshift in my Cinema 4D has this weird quirk where I have to just manually select the object in from the mode, because even though I've clicked the object, it just defaults to whatever it wants, but now it's in object mode now because I selected it. So we're just going to reduce that. And we're going to hit O on the keyboard, just to, having selected the wine bottle, just to bring it in. Now we can see our wine bottle is looking a bit more beautiful, but we don't want to just leave it there. We're going to have to make some other lights as well, and I might stick a Redshift dome light just so it's not just a black background, or we can hide the floor perhaps as well, or maybe create a reflection floor. We'll see how it goes. Depends on how this goes. Obviously, I do all these tutorials unscripted, so, when we get there, we get there. This is going to be our fill light. Now, the fill light tends to be a little bit less bright than the key light, and it'll be coming in from the other side just to create an extra little bit of depth there. And obviously, we have our target already set up because I just copied and pasted the key light. So now we have what's looking half decent and groovy. So obviously now I'm hitting 3 on the keyboard and dragging it around the fill light, which is not obviously what I want. So we just click back on the wine bottle, and then it'll rotate from center. You can set this up in your preferences. If you're confused about how to do it, leave a comment and I'll show you. And there's our fill light and our key light set up. And I'm going to reduce a little bit more because it's kind of competing too much with the key light. There we go. And our rim light now, what we want to do is these little edges here. You want the kind of silhouette of the wine bottle to be kind of illuminated as well, because that's just a nice thing to have. So we'll just bang this over here, and that should, and you did it a minute ago as I was moving it as a real-time render preview update. And there you go. And so now we have our 3 lights all set up. and ready to roll. So if we do that, we can see now we've got a decent little bit of a lighting setup. You can always tweak it. Obviously, you know, as you angle it as well, it'll kind of affect how the lights are. And I've just made a boo-boo by treating my fill light as my key light. So here's a little tip. Instead of kind of working out how to do everything again, all I'll do now, I'll copy the fill light. Now I'll start undoing everything. So when it turns back into where it was, I think that was it there, I'll just press Command V again, and I will have the rim light set up. I'll just have to rename it, but it saves me having to try and figure out everything again. So copy and paste is your friend, and it's a very powerful tool, more powerful than people realize. And so I think now we have a nice little wine bottle illumination going on. That's reasonably decent, and that's, you know, I could end the tutorial here, and if that's all you wanted to learn, then feel free to jump out. But I'm going to go a bit more in depth and make this a little bit more, because I don't want to leave it here. I'm not in the mood. So we're going to carry on. Feel free to carry on for the ride, and we'll see how we get on. I do need to show you how to optimize the render settings at some point as well, but I'll get around to that. I've kind of worked it out, but yeah, I've watched other people's tutorials as well. Ain't gonna lie, but I've kind of had a few tweaks in my own one just because it's optimized to my personal machine, so I can show you that if you're kind of happen to be on an Apple M3 Max. So yeah, and there's our floor. So now, what do we do next? I'm thinking maybe we'll use the floor and just have a reflection in the floor. I think that's probably a good way to go about it. So if we just go on this plane, now we're going to have to put a render tag and a Redshift object tag. And what we're also going to have to do is create a reflective material for the floor to carry. And stick that up to the brightest white. And we'll stick our reflection up to 1. Hang on. Excuse me. Oh no, our metalness, sorry. Our metalness. Where's our metalness gone? There it is. Boop. And now we have that there. And if we drag this onto the plane that we were using for our floor, we'll see now it's reflecting. And so that's not ideal. So we go in our Redshift tag, we'll go in our matte, and we will override, enable. And now we have our alpha channel of 1, our reflection scale needs to go up, and there we go. There is our wine bottle being reflected. Let's just tone that down a tiny bit, or maybe a lot, depending on, you know. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, this reflection's blurry. If you don't want it to be blurry, just go back into your material and make it not blurry, and the roughness will go away. And then you'll have a nice reflected wine bottle. I quite like a bit blurriness, though. It looks groovy. Personally, I think maybe it's just me. And, you know, we have our wine bottle in frame, maybe give it a bit of a Dutch roll. And yeah, all groovy. So there's how you light a scene in by the basics. Like this is just the very basics of lighting. And, you know, you can add a Redshift dome light with an HDRI on it. I'll show you how to do that now anyway, because, you know, we're past the point where I wanted to finish. I'm just waxing lyrical. So you go in here, Redshift, lights, and dome light. I've showed you how to do this in another tutorial before anyway, but just in case you missed it. So you can kind of use your dome light as a kind of weird fill light. You can turn the intensity down and stuff if you want. And what I normally tend to do, obviously, I'll just stick a texture in here, which is an HDRI map. I'm going to use, I downloaded these when Grayscale Yellow didn't have a subscription model, and they had the, you know, you could just buy it. I bought these ages ago, but the studio rig doesn't work anymore, but the HDRIs do. So you know, you can just use those. If you still got them on a hard drive somewhere, you feel free to just use them again. If you didn't already know that, which you probably did, then that will affect your reflection. Obviously, we want to just turn off the background there by clicking that, and you click on the Redshift dome light, click on the background tab, and then you have the benefits of the reflection of your HDRI, and you know, you can turn the intensity up and down. You can do what you like. And so that's basically it. I thought this tutorial would be a lot longer, and it just turned out didn't need to be. So I really hope you liked it, and I hope you found value in it. I will catch you in the next tutorial. If you did enjoy it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Best of luck in your creative journey.